We saw the different types of storages, the file, the block, and the object storage. We saw that the block storage can be used for booting, and the object storage breaks your data into objects, and these objects have data about data, which I refer to as metadata. And that's why it is good for query, because you can use the metadata to query the objects. And we know the object and the block storage are SAN storages, or storage area networks, meaning you can access them over the network. And with that aspect, the limitation you have on those types of storage is the bandwidth of your network. And next, we saw the file storage. And we saw that we have different types. You use the file storage when you want multiple servers to access the same data or the same file at the same time or concurrently. And we saw that we had different types of file storage. We have the network, the NFS, the network file system, and the SMB. You use the NFS when you're dealing with Linux or Unix systems, and you use the SMB when you're dealing with Windows systems. We saw that we have different data types. We have the structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. The structured is when the data is related, or you have related data types in a table format. Such an example would be an Excel sheet. The unstructured data, they lack predefined structure, and they require a special tool for you to be able to analyze this data set to draw information out of it. And the semi-structure, we saw that they're mostly stored in the JSON format, and there is a slight level of structure within the data, but you still need to analyze it to be able to pull out the structure from this data set. And we saw that we have the database, which is an organized collection of data or data that is stored electronically. And we saw that to manage or control the database, you use the database management system. A combination of the database and the database management system is referred to as the database system. In short form, it is referred to as a database. And we saw that we have a database engine, which is a software component that is responsible for managing and accessing the database system. We saw that we have two different types of processes, the OLTP or the online transactional processing, and the OLAP, the online analytical processing. With the online transactional processing, you use it when you want to record updates, insertions, and delete data transactions. And you mostly use that in a relational database system. While for the OLAP, or the online analytical process, you use that when you want to see data or historical data, and you mostly use that in a non-relational database. And we saw that we have a relational database and a non-relational database. With a relational database, you use that to store data that shows relationship between variables. That's when you employ the relational database. And we said the relational database is ACID compliant. And by the ACID, the A stands for atomicity, which is the all or nothing. So either a transaction is executed or is not executed at all. And you have the C, which is the consistency. So once a transaction or a system commits to a transaction, it has to conform to that data schema. And you have the I, the isolation. So each transaction is performed separately from the next. And you have D for durability, which stands for once the transaction has been performed on a database, the transaction stays and it cannot be retracted. And we saw that on the AWS platform, the relational database is referred to as the Amazon Relational Database. We saw that we have different types of Amazon relational databases, like the MariaDB, the Oracle. So those are just some examples of relational databases. And we saw that On the other hand of the relational database, you have the non-relational database. And we had different examples of those. You had the DynamoDB, DocumentDB, Neptune, Graph. Those are all different types of databases.